Society loves to sell you the fantasy. Boy meets girl, hearts flutter, and everyone lives happily ever after. Total lie. Real love is a brutal hierarchy. There is the ruler and the ruled, the master and the servant. If you catch feelings first, you lose. You either dominate the relationship or you get crushed. This is not romance, it is war. Welcome to Shinomiya Academy. This is not a normal high school. It is a factory for the 1%. These kids are the future leaders of Japan, but even among the elite, there are monsters. The student council has entered the chat. First up, Vice President Kaguya Shinomiya. Her family controls 200 trillion yen, banks, trains, the whole economy. She could buy your entire bloodline as a snack. She is the daughter of the Shinomiya group leader, absolute royalty. She is a prodigy at music, martial arts, and basically breathing. A certified genius. But the guy walking next to her, that is Miyuki Shirogane, the president. He does not have the cash, but he has the grind. He sits at the top of the national leaderboards. Perfect scores, #1 in the entire country. He earned that spot through pure, terrifying discipline. That braid on his shoulder represents 200 years of history. Together, they look like literal gods walking the hallway. The whole school is obsessed. Everyone assumes they are dating, but nobody dares to ask. You do not just walk up to royalty without an invitation. Kaguya drops the nuclear launch codes while pouring tea, casually mentioning the rumor that they are dating. Miyuki tries to parry, acting like he is way too mature for school gossip, but his internal panic alarm is blaring. He scoffs at the very idea, calling it impossible, but catch that micro hesitation at the end. He almost folded right there. Inside his head, he thinks it is in the bag. He is literally reading a "Signs a Girl Likes You" poster and ticking off boxes like a delusional teenager. He constructs a fantasy where she comes crawling to him. He is laughing to himself like a total creep while she tries to have a normal conversation. Kaguya is coping by reminding herself she is the elite of the elite. Dating a commoner? Please. She has a reputation to uphold. She leaves a back door open though. She admits she might date him, but only if he begs for it like a dog. They are both dangerously arrogant. 6 months later, the result of all this high IQ maneuvering? Absolutely nothing happened. Zero progress. They sit at their desks, overanalyzing every word. She is trying to use subliminal messaging about snails, and he is calculating relationship risk factors. It is exhausting just watching them. The mindset shifts. It is not about romance anymore. It is a war to make the other person confess first. Peace was never an option. Secretary Chika drops a loot box on the table, 2 movie tickets. Miyuki's internal alarms start ringing. He tries to secure the bag immediately, claiming he is free, even though his planner is screaming that he is booked solid. He pivots to invite Kaguya. Then Chika drops the bomb. Rumor has it, any couple who watches this flick ends up dating. Miyuki freezes in place like a deer in headlights. If he invites Kaguya now, it is a direct confession. He is trapped. Kaguya instantly goes on the offensive. She teases him about the implication, cornering him into admitting defeat. This is the law of the jungle. The first to catch feelings gets sent to the lobby. Miyuki tries to calculate a workaround, but Kaguya hits him with the "how cute" stare. Emotional damage is critical. Miyuki decides to stop thinking and start swinging. He slams his resolve onto the table. He claims he does not believe in silly superstitions. He challenges her directly. Do you want to go or not? He flips the script. Now Kaguya has to choose. She realizes that if she refuses, she saves face, but she loses the war. Because here is the kicker. She rigged the entire game. She forged the winning ticket. She planted it in Chika's mailbox at night. She cleared her schedule. This was a setup from the start. If she backs down now, all that grinding was for nothing. She activates her ultimate ability, feigning innocence, a Shinomiya family secret technique. She drops the act and hits him with the teary-eyed, "I just wanted a real invite." Shirogane's brain short-circuits. His pride evaporates. He is about to fold. He is 5 seconds away from a full confession. Kaguya closes in for the finish, smelling victory. The checkmate is right there. Chika is the agent of chaos. She interrupts the moment with a smile. "Oh, you don't like romance? I have tickets to the little chicken instead." The tension snaps. Both of them are left absolutely stunned. Mission failed. It is basic chaos theory. You drop a single random variable into a perfect plan, and the result is not just a glitch, it is a catastrophic system failure. Chika asked if she said something wrong, completely unaware she just bricked their consoles. Their brains were screaming for glucose to prevent a total hard drive crash. Talk about a blue screen of death. Target acquired. One lone steamed bun on the table. They ran the numbers instantly. If they did not eat now, they would pass out. They abandoned all dignity and dove for the calories, fighting for the right to function. But the bell rang, and Chika was already wiping crumbs off her face. She casually devoured the prize while they were busy calculating trajectories. Mutual defeat. The true apex predator waved goodbye, leaving a trail of broken spirits behind her. You hate to see it. Welcome to Shinomiya Academy. This place is not just a school, it is a breeding ground for the elite, where admissions are rigged and the bloodlines go back to the dinosaurs. It is basically a country club for the ultra-rich, where the tuition costs more than your entire life savings. The social hierarchy here is split into two toxic camps. You have the pure nobles who use daddy's money to buy a seat at the table. Then you have the impure commoners, the poor souls who actually had to open a textbook and grind just to exist in this space. For a commoner to become president here, that is a statistical glitch in the matrix. Only 3 people have ever defied the odds, and naturally, our boy Miyuki Shirogane is one of those legends. He looked at the system and decided to conquer it. The student council room felt like a graveyard because these overachievers speed-ran their paperwork. Now the silence was loud enough to pop eardrums. Kaguya pulled out a deck of cards to save the day, but Miyuki just had to be that guy. He scoffed, looking down his nose at her, and called it a game for toddlers. Kaguya was not having it. She decided to turn this casual game into a death match. She locked eyes with him, the air getting heavy, and dropped the nuclear option. The winner gets one absolute request from the loser. Miyuki's CPU instantly fried. He stuttered out a clarification, asking if she meant any request. His imagination went rogue, picturing Kaguya in cat ears and maid outfits. The man was down astronomically bad, but Kaguya read him like an open book and nuked his fantasies from orbit. She immediately banned anything related to culture or unreasonable demands. Miyuki actually clicked his tongue in pure frustration. Look at him. Bro really thought he was about to get lucky. With the fan service option deleted, he gritted his teeth and accepted the challenge. That is when Kaguya flashed the Joker card with a smirk that spelled doom. They were playing Old Maid, and she was out for blood. Miyuki went full Sherlock Holmes mode, scanning the card backs for microscopic scratches or invisible ink. Kaguya put her hand over her heart and swore she wasn't cheating, but in this room, honor is just a currency you spend to win. He ran the calculations on every dirty trick in the book, from marked cards to sleight of hand. Ultimately, he decided to trust her, mostly because rigging the deck is beneath her pay grade, but then his brain started screaming. She proposed the game, which means she already has a 40-step plan to crush his soul. He accepted the challenge, but he tightened his grip, bracing for the inevitable ambush. Since Kaguya started with the Joker, she took the first turn and cleared a pair with the elegance of a surgeon. Miyuki reached for his first card, and wouldn't you know it, he instantly yanked the Joker. 1 in 7 odds, and he bricked it on turn 1. The universe really hates this guy. A cold sweat broke out on his neck. He realized this wasn't just bad luck, it was psychological warfare. She's inside his walls. He fanned his cards and popped the Joker slightly upward, using a subtle visual glitch to manipulate her choice. It is a classic bait and switch. He hit her with the reverse psychology, asking if he was really simple enough to make the Joker the obvious pick. He stared her down, daring her to call his bluff. Kaguya wasn't fazed. She called his strategy cute and planned to grab the Joker on purpose, just to shove it right back down his throat on the next turn. She snatched the Joker and flashed a terrifying smile. Miyuki's CPU overheated instantly. Why is she grinning after pulling the death card? He tried to tell himself he had the card advantage, but the fear of that one request was making him second-guess his entire existence. Miyuki's brain starts doing backflips over the semantics. Since gentlemanly request isn't in the official rulebook, the definition is totally fluid. He realizes he has to read the room with surgical precision, or he is getting socially deleted. He runs a high-speed mental simulation. If she pulls out movie tickets and hits him with the classic "I guess I will go alone" guilt trip, he is absolutely cooked. He imagines himself on his knees begging to join her just to stop the cringe. But in reality, he is just gripping his cards and vibrating like a broken controller. Kaguya instantly notices the lag. Kaguya starts sweating bullets. She realizes he might have decoded her master plan to throw the match. Usually, she plays guys like puppets on strings. Easy clap. But the president is built different. If he knows she is fishing for a movie date, he holds every single ounce of leverage. Panic mode engaged. She cannot let him think she actually likes him. In her twisted mind, she is just giving him the privilege of inviting her out. The mental gymnastics here are gold medal worthy. She convinced herself this was pure charity, not a desperate thirst trap. The level of cope in her brain is absolutely off the charts. She is fighting a war against reality, and reality is winning. She ran the simulation in her head where he plays the Joker and faces total defeat. She needed him on his knees, begging for that movie date like his life depended on it. Miyuki slammed the winning hand onto the table with zero hesitation. He cleared the board, leaving Kaguya scrambling to maintain her composure. You can practically hear the dial-up internet sounds in her head. She frantically tried to steer the conversation before he ruined everything. She hinted that a true gentleman would check the paperwork right next to her. Subtle as a sledgehammer, she reached for the tickets she planted, but her fingers hit nothing but air. The stash was gone. Her operating system completely crashed. Error 404, dignity not found. Miyuki flashed the stolen loot with a devious smirk. He saw the setup coming a mile away and swiped the prize while she was distracted. The man is playing 4D chess while she is playing checkers. He ruthlessly dismantled her entire scheme right to her face. He did not need to beg for a date anymore. He held all the leverage. Game, set, and match. Miyuki sat on the couch, staring at the floorboards like they were part of a bomb defusal puzzle. His brain was running 1,000 calculations a second because he spotted the trap instantly. He didn't just pick them up, he performed a tactical retrieval. He leaned down, snatched the tickets with surgical precision, and hit her with the most casual, "Oops, you dropped these," in human history. He even started lecturing her about respecting gifts, pretending to weigh his options like a judge in a high-stakes trial. But then, he delivered the critical hit. He didn't ask for a date because that is for amateurs. Instead, he demanded one ticket as payment for his silence. You could practically hear the gears in Kaguya's brain grinding to a halt. She tried to calculate the damage, but he kept swinging. He announced he is free this weekend and going solo. She can do whatever she wants with the spare ticket. He does not care. He secured the bag and started walking away, but he left one final trap behind. He dropped the bait, saying, "Man, wouldn't it be wild if we bumped into each other?" They laughed it off like a couple of absolute psychopaths, saying, "Yeah, right." But the narrator box is not lying. We are absolutely getting a date chapter next. The surveillance team spots the target moving at Mach speeds. He is tearing up the asphalt on a high-performance tactical vehicle which is just a basket-equipped women's bicycle. Agent C locks down the perimeter like it is a hostage situation. All intel points to the cinema. Hayasaka leans in with the intensity of a Spec Ops commander and drops the hammer. It is time to execute the plan. Kaguya steps out of the car looking like royalty, but inside her brain is melting. She is thinking, he is in the wild. This is not a drill, as her composure crumbles. The tension is so thick she is physically nauseous. She begs for stomach meds to stop the room from spinning, but Hayasaka ignores the complaints with zero empathy to focus on the mission. Shirogane is closing the gap at alarming speeds. Hayasaka counts down the intercept like she is defusing a bomb. 3, 2, 1. Boom. Contact. They slam into each other with the absolute fakest surprise faces imaginable. Miyuki starts sweating buckets, his brain overheating as he rattles off random statistics just to justify why he is at the movies in a full school uniform on a Saturday. The man is fighting for his life right now. The NPCs in the lobby start giggling at the awkward tension, so Kaguya immediately initiates protocol isolation. She gives Hayasaka the signal to delete herself from the premises. No witnesses allowed in this dojo. Hayasaka evacuates the squad, but Miyuki calls foul instantly. He accuses her of camping the spawn point just waiting for him to show up. Kaguya laughs right in his face, expertly gaslighting him into thinking his ego is completely out of control. She is playing 4D chess while he is playing checkers, but internally, She admits the cold hard truth. It was not just waiting. It was high-stakes biological tracking. She hunted this man down like a trophy buck during open season, calculating his every move with terrifying precision. Kaguya enters the lobby and immediately tries to walk straight into the auditorium. She assumes her sheer confidence is enough to bypass security. Miyuki intercepts her like a goalie. He explains that holding a discount coupon does not actually get you past the gate. She smiles through the pain, admitting she has absolutely no idea how these commoner rituals work. He redirects her to the line, steering her past the overpriced snacks and a random penguin mascot that looks incredibly suspicious. Kaguya watches the other customers like a hawk. She figures if she just mimics the NPCs, nobody will know she is a billionaire imposter. Miyuki yells at her to stop lagging behind, breaking her stealth mode. She psychs herself up internally. This is the most stressful transaction of her entire life. One wrong move and her cover is blown. The clerk calls her up. She hands over the paper with trembling fingers, holding her breath, and boom, ticket secured. But then the clerk drops a tactical nuke on the conversation. She tells Kaguya to pick a seat. Kaguya stares at the touchscreen like it is an alien artifact sent to destroy her. You have to remember, this girl has infinite money. She has chefs, drivers, and maids to basically breathe for her. This is literally the most terrifying decision she has ever faced in her entire life. She asks if the seat is permanent, and Miyuki realizes she has zero common sense. But then Kaguya locks in. Her brain goes into overdrive. Mission objective, secure the seat directly next to the president at all costs. She runs the simulations. She envisions the legendary accidental popcorn hand touch meta. But the risks are too high. One wrong move and she is stuck between a sobbing office lady and a loud couple. That is absolute nightmare fuel. She tries to download his seating logic directly from his brain. Miyuki wants to just tell her, but his massive ego is in the way. If he speaks first, he looks desperate. It is a complete mental stalemate. Kaguya hits him with a smug smirk and asks if he wants to sit together. Miyuki starts sweating bullets. He needs a natural excuse to signal her right now. Then he spots the savior, the penguin mascot. Miyuki has a galaxy brain epiphany while Kaguya continues to torture the poor clerk with her silence. He loudly announces he sat near the pentan symbol. Subtle as a brick through a window, Kaguya's processor buffers for a second and then she cracks the code. Pentan means pentane, chemical formula C5H12. Since seat C5 is taken, she locks in H12. She thinks she is a tactical genius, but really they are both just massive nerds. Miyuki makes his move, extending the bucket like a peace offering. But to Kaguya, this isn't just a snack, it is a trap. She stares at the greasy kernel like it is a radioactive isotope, her brain completely short-circuiting. She is calculating 1,000 different outcomes for accepting a single calorie. Finally, her operating system reboots. She forces a polite nod, reaching out with trembling fingers. She brings the popcorn to her lips with the gravity of diffusing a bomb. She takes a bite, the crunch echoing in her skull like a gunshot. All this adrenaline for a piece of puffed corn. She walks out of the theater, soul-crushing under the weight of her own awkwardness. She replays the tape in her head, realizing she absolutely fumbled the bag. The scoreboard lights up. Mutual defeat. Kaguya's lack of commoner knowledge just got her sent straight to the lobby. If you want to see her try to redeem herself in part 2, let me know in the comments.